Alright guys, this is part 2 of exposing what really happened in Berkeley over the weekend of August 26th and 27th. In this episode, Farron is interviewing Ashton, who is a student at Berkeley. She went out and she tried being a nonpartisan, just wanting to go out and have a chit chat with people. She ended up having to be rescued. We literally had to mobilize some vehicles, go pick her up, take her to safety, and then eventually get her to hook up with her boyfriend so she could go home. Her story talks a lot about what happened leading up to the events in Berkeley and what happened during the events at Berkeley. She talks about how Yvette is a total nutcase, and we even have a little bit of footage to prove it. The moral of the story, guys, is that this is a much bigger picture than just a whole bunch of people showing up to beat other people up. This is organization. This is crime. This is stuff that is being ignored by law enforcement, by politicians, by the left in general. This is a problem. And these stories like Ashton's and stories like the rest that you're going to be seeing when this project is completed, this is the stuff that needs to get out. People need to wake up. People need to start standing up against the literal fascist terrorism that we are suffering in this country. Regular everyday Americans can't go and just have a regular conversation. If you don't agree with me, you're a Nazi. If you don't agree with me, you're a fascist. This is the country we live in. This is the country we need to fix. Make sure you guys share this stuff. Make sure you guys put this out there. This is important information.
All right, so Ashton Whitty joins us for Liberty One TV. You were at the Berkeley, I guess they're now calling them riots. What can you tell me as far as what went down and why did you decide to go in the first place?
Well, I originally decided to go when Joey Gibson was hosting it, and it was a free speech rally. Prior to that event, there were posters all over UC Berkeley campus posted there by Yvette and BAM, calling the rally a white supremacy rally. I figured that would happen. I just didn't think they'd go so far. And on those posters, they had a room number, a date and a time for a meeting talking about taking down Joey's rally. And so a bunch of us decided to go. When we arrived to their public meeting on a public campus, they would not let us in, which kind of concerned us. They attacked us when we tried going into the room. And so that concerned us quite a bit. And so I felt like something about this was very suspicious. And so I heard over time that they decided to cancel a rally, and the people of Berkeley, I guess, decided to start a anti-hate rally to replace it. And so I thought, you know what, this is perfect. I'll go to an anti-hate rally, being peaceful. I'll carry a sign, and my sign said, let's just have a conversation. That's all I wanted to do was have a conversation, maybe open some people's eyes to see that, you know, they could talk to someone who is on the right wing, who isn't a fascist or a Nazi or a KKK member, because really, you know, the biased media is portraying us that way. Next thing you know, Antifa, they show up, they're covered in black, they're beating people down, there's purple smoke in the air. I call up, Freedom Keepers, they come and get me.
What time did you get to the rally, Ashton, and when would you say what time Antifa showed up?
I got to the rally around 11:30. Antifa showed up about 1 o'clock. So until then, there was like less than 10 conservatives. None of them were violent. They just were yelling at each other, having a debate, really. You know, they're arguing. I was trying to have conversations with people. There were a few Democrats who enjoyed my sign, actually, who were willing to talk to me. When Antifa showed up, I immediately saw them. They were gathering over. And everything was fine for a good few minutes. And then next thing you know, they're taking down the barriers the police set up. They're punching people. They're hitting people. I immediately called them. Like, I have to get out of here. They drove me to safety, and they put me on film asking me what happened prior to the event and whatnot. So we're at this gas station, and someone points out, hey, there's a lady looking at us, looking down at her phone. And we look over. We try not to think anything about it. At least I wasn't. They were worried for some reason. I didn't really understand why. 2 minutes later, this gang shows up, this gang of guys. They start yelling at us, cursing at us, saying that we're dead men, that there's more of them. We get into the car. They're hitting the car with, like, I assumed it was lead pipes or brass knuckles. One of the cars they kicked. Probably one of the most terrifying moments of my entire life. Wasn't sure how to react. Turns out people have been following them all day. And so prior to this event, at the same band meeting as I was describing, where they wouldn't let us attend, we actually had someone go in and record, and they caught a girl within BAM threatening me, saying that Barbie's going to get it on Sunday, referring to me as Barbie, I assume, since I was the only girl in the entire group. And so, none of this really seems like it's a coincidence. I feel like there's something going on in the back that neither the left or the right is seeing, and the fact that someone wanted to take down a free speech rally and Antifa, a communist anarchist group, happens to show up and they happen to be stalking people, it just, there's something going on, and I think people need to know about it. I think,
What time would you say that you were able, because they said that, a lot of people that were there, it started to get really bad, and that people were actually having to go in and get their friends out. What time did you notice that it started to get pretty bad, and how long till it took you to get essentially rescued out of there?
It took me a while, actually, because, I feel like there were cops at one point doing their job, and then there was a point where it got too much, because you have to remember, there was a large amount of cops that were showing up. They were sending in more and more and more. But the thing is, it felt like Antifa was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this made me realize Antifa, by the day, is getting bigger and more dangerous, and they're willing to do more dangerous things. I was seeing them really, just attack people, beat on people with these giant poles. One guy's head was, smashed. There's blood. People were bleeding. It was bad. When I called them up, I had to get out there. I was kind of staying on the sidelines to make sure I wasn't seen. I remember I was walking around Berkeley trying to get away. I saw people pass by me, who seemed like, they might be going to either start violence. It got to a point where, I felt the need to start. I actually had to tell a woman, hey, don't even go near Civic Center or the high school, because she had a kid with her. It gets to, they were attacking anybody that had an American flag, had a Trump hat, any symbol of patriotism or free speech whatsoever. I warn people, don't even go near it. Even if you're a peaceful protester, that's a Democrat. I felt like they were attacking both sides at one point.
What did you see as far as police presence? How many police did you see? And did they do anything when things started to get really bad?
Police, I think, tried, but not enough. I saw police going in saying how they were doing the usual. They were chanting, "We protect, we serve." I'm someone who, I'm a full Blue Lives Matter kind of person. I personally think that they knew more than they did, but I think something on the outside told them not to. And I hate to say it, but I think there's something higher up that wanted this to happen.
When you say you think that something higher up wanted this to happen, who are you referring to?
I'm referring to the mayor of Berkeley, honestly. And I hate to call it out like it is, but the mayor of Berkeley, this has happened multiple times, and it's getting worse every single time. He had the chance to, do his research on this free speech rally, which he didn't. He called it a white supremacy rally immediately without actually doing the research on who Joey Gibson is. He's actually friends with Yvette, who is the organizer at BAM, who is a middle school teacher, who has incited violent riots, and she's still teaching at a middle school, and he's basically, he decided to call Antifa for the first time ever a gang as of, I think it was yesterday or today, but this is the first time in years of violence from Antifa. Where was he all the other times? Mm-hmm. And so it really makes me think, why isn't he stepping up? And so it makes me want to ask the people of Berkeley, do you really want a mayor who is allowing these people to cause violence, who is allowing these people to cause your tax dollars, which should be going to the homeless, which is, a huge part of the Berkeley community, be going to this, the police forces and the damage done by Antifa? Do you want your tax dollars paying a middle school teacher who is causing violence and riots, who is threatening people and harassing people? Do you want your tax dollars going to a mayor who isn't really protecting the people, but more so, he's making these promises he's not keeping? He's talking about being anti-hate and anti-fascism, but the reality is Antifa are the fascists. They're the ones who caused 100% of that, the damage and violence. The small portion that was, Republicans were nowhere near the alt-right. They were just there to have a conversation. And so it makes me think, where did the rumors and lies about this rally come from? Why was nothing done about this?
And as far as this rally, I mean, UC Berkeley is one of those places. There's been a lot that's been going on there. I mean, you had the riots when Milo Yiannopoulos was going to go there. You had the riots when Ben Shapiro was going to go there. As far as going to another event like this again, do you see yourself continuing to go to these, or was this kind of it for you?
100% I will be attending these events. You know, I'm not speaking as a Democrat or Republican right now. I'm speaking myself as American, as a patriot. And as someone who is for free speech, you know, I stand for free speech for all Americans, no matter your race, sexuality, gender, political affiliation, etc., etc. The point is free speech is an American right, and without free speech, we essentially have nothing. When you censor free speech, whether it's hateful rhetoric or not, you're also censoring your ability to debate and discuss. And so what happened on Sunday was mobs came in and beat people down in the name of what they say is civil rights, when in reality it was for communist anarchy. And so I want to ask people this: what's better or what's worse? Hate speech or people coming in, forcing you to be a certain way, and if you don't, they act violently on you?
And you said in the very beginning, you didn't vote for Donald Trump.
No, I don't condemn those who voted for him either. I think myself, you know, I'm not, you know, the biggest supporter of Donald Trump. I agree with some things he says, but not entirely. But at the same time, I don't think people should be condemned for voting for him. We all have a right to believe in certain things. Just because someone, you know, voted for him for a certain reason doesn't make them a fascist. It doesn't make them, you know, part of the Ku Klux Klan. It doesn't make them a Nazi. You know, I could say many other things about Hillary Clinton. I don't know why people vote for Hillary Clinton, but I don't go around saying that they're wrong. They have the right to vote for who they want to vote for.
As far as now with this whole event being over, any advice that you would tell other people that are going to eventually be going to these rallies in the future? I mean, this isn't the last one we're going to see. Any advice for those that are going to be attending these rallies that you learned, you know, going forward?
As a Republican at Berkeley, it made me realize that, you know, Republicans are basically targeted. We are doxxed by groups like Antifa and BAM. Yvette has pictures of me on her phone. That I'm sure of. But the thing is, I feel like if more Berkeley students who come out as conservative and more people on the left who start to condemn Antifa's violence, the more we can truly live in peace and fight the true fascists which are causing violence and hate in Berkeley. And not just in Berkeley, this is happening all over America. It just so happens that Berkeley happens to be on the news more because it's known for being so liberal in the free speech movement, and now all of this is happening.
Oh, what are you then? A pro-Trump supporter? Are you pro?
He's a Nazi, right?
Yes, I would think so.
Really? He's a Nazi because I'm going to check Patriots fight against Nazis. So.
Oh, I just want to throw up.
Look at this Nazi.
Yeah, okay, throw up. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's stopping you. Free country.
I just want to check that Patriots fight against fascists and Nazis.
Well,
and communists.
Sam, hi.
Are you from?
No. Sacramento. Well, originally it was like the anti-communist Marxist march, but like it was canceled, and I'm like, okay, no fascist USA! Trump! No KKK, no fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK, no fascist... Anyways, what were you saying? I'm sorry. That I don't have to be, but not all right-wing people, like I am, are white nationalists. I'm a nationalist. I believe in nationalism, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being a patriot, you know? Like,
no, I like...
Patriots are what fight the fascists.
All lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. You shut the fuck up right now. Low energy anarchist. Low energy anarchist. Low energy anarchist. All lives matter.
Like, what's wrong with being loving America? That's why I'm loving America. What's wrong with being a patriot?
Loving America right now.
Huh? Because patriotism is
putting a flag on your back doesn't make you love America.
Isn't it against all the people that are in the state of racism and white? Just because I love America and the people in it.
Black lives.
I love America because it gives the rights to all people, no matter the race, sexuality, religion.
It's ironic. It's like, I'm sorry.
It's totally fine. No, like, as a patriot, I
My
love
last
America.
government speech
Everybody in it and who wants to be
Black
in
Lives
it.
Matter was complete bullshit. That was like I did a 5-minute speech. Black Lives Matter is bullshit.
What did you say, Gail?
No, this was originally back to that. Low energy anarchist. I'm here to show. Well, originally it was like the anti-Marxist stuff. Yeah, I'm not touching your phone. Anti-Marxist. I'm recording you. I'm not touching your phone. Stop. I'm recording you.
You're not in the press right now. It's against the Constitution, by the way.
And to also show
Hey, whoa!
Hey, that guy. Hey, stop that guy.
You were up at the park today, right?
Oh yeah, holding a sign. Want to see it?
Absolutely.
I'm going to show how much of a fascist I am. Here we go.
Guys, I don't think this place is safe anymore. The lady across the street.
Yeah, I saw her.
Yeah.
She's in.
Just be ready to bounce.
Yeah.
We gotta wait for one more to get back.
So let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
So when you went up there, what happened to you?
Well, came up to me and said I was a fascist, that I was a Trump supporter and a racist. There was actually a lot of Democrats who came up to me and said they supported what I was doing, but for the most part, it was mostly a bunch of like people in like high school who didn't know what they're talking about, calling me a racist, fascist, anti-woman. So
you're a woman who's anti-woman?
Yeah.
Nice.
Just because I wanted to have a conversation with people. I didn't say I was Republican or Democrat, and people just assumed. Not to mention, when they were bashing down a guy who voted for Trump, I mentioned I didn't vote for Trump and said, why does it matter if he voted for Trump? Why can't me and him have discussed a debate? Yeah. And they just started saying, oh, you're taking his side, you're a Nazi sympathizer. I'm like, you're a freaking idiot.
Did you see anybody get attacked?
I saw a man in a Trump hat get attacked. A guy in a purple shirt hit him. I saw somebody from BAM actually attack 2 Democrats pretending to be a Nazi when they weren't. Because it was obvious they were from BAM. They were wearing a black bandana. They wore a white shirt, like people were told from BAM. And I also saw some guy who was recording his phone snatched out of his hand.
Is there anything else you want to talk about the event? Or a message? Do you have a message for the people of Berkeley?
Well, when you have someone who decides to put on this free speech rally, make sure you actually go into the research behind it, rather than follow the protest against it that, for example, makes Antifa look like heroes, says the Boston rally was racist, that calls it a white supremacy group, even though the organizer is literally a group of Mexicans, blacks, Hispanics, Muslims, and a trans woman. So that should tell you something. And when a group of communists... And when a group of communists tell you to,
he's the guy with the nose thing.
Not show up to a free speech rally, that might tell you something concerning that communists,
I got video of Joey. When the kind of violence and the fight started to erupt and the agitation started to erupt, did you down at the park
Did you feel like the police responded to that accordingly and
I
stepped in?
I think the police did respond accordingly. I think they did what they had to do. My issue is that, you know, we have a bunch of people out there who are just causing violence to cause violence. They're not, you know, standing for any meaning. They just want to get angry and, you know, make the right wing look bad because they're communists. That's what they do. And so I want everyone to know right now, there was about 5 conservatives out there. I didn't, at least when I was out there, and none of them were acting violently. All the violence came from the left.
What do you think? What do you think looking ahead to September 14th?
September 14th, Ben Shapiro coming out?
Yes.
I think we'll be very safe. A lot of people are coming out. A lot of liberals are coming out actually because they want to hear what he has to say. I think he is the perfect moderate to speak on a Berkeley campus. And if Antifa decides to show up and trash the place, that just proves how awful they are.
Yeah.
Because Ben Shapiro is not a racist. He's actually a Jewish person. And he's like the most moderate Republican I've ever, you know, heard speak. So if Antifa wants to show up, they can, but they're just making themselves look like idiots. So.
Free thought for free people.